Let's start with the QB play here. What'd you think of it? Comment in the comment section below. I thought Steve Angeli was fine in this game. I think we were all really blessed with Kyle McCord last season, setting all of those ACC records and all that. It was a really fun year with Kyle McCord, and that was elite quarterback play. But Steve Angeli, maybe he's not Kyle McCord, but you know what? I think he's going to have a pretty good year for Syracuse football. I go back to the comment that I think Gavin made on this show last week about how Steve Angeli could be 75% of Kyle McCord. I definitely think that's on the table, which, by the way, 75% of Kyle McCord this year for Steve Angeli would be about 3,500 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. That's a really strong year for pretty much any quarterback in all of college football. And I think after this performance for Steve Angeli, that is definitely on the table for him to have a really productive season for Syracuse. 23 of 40, which is not great. Less than 60% completion, but keep in mind, you're playing against Tennessee. 274 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Was he perfect? No. Was he a big reason why Syracuse lost this game? No. I thought he was fine for Syracuse in this one. His mistakes are easily correctable. The fumble that he had in the first quarter, which led to the scoop and score, was part on the offensive line for not really giving him any time, and part on Steve Angeli. He's just got to have 2 hands on the football when he's in the pocket. I think you can fix that. I can let go of that mistake as long as it really just doesn't happen again. You can correct that issue. Just hold the ball with 2 hands in the pocket. That's all. Okay, we can fix that. The interception by Steve Angeli was not his fault. Credit to Jalen McMurray for making an outstanding play, leaping up and batting the ball, and the Tennessee linebacker coming right in and scooping up that interception. I don't know what you want Steve Angeli to do there. He's throwing to an open Dan Villari on that play in the right flat. Credit Tennessee. They're an elite defense for a reason. Yes, there was times where Steve Angeli did try to force a couple of balls. There was that one really bad throw he had to Steve Angeli. Steve Angeli is the quarterback. That one really bad throw he had to Johntay Cook. He was open on the outside on the right, and he just short hopped him. It was just a noodle arm throw. It happens, I guess, once a game, but that was really it. Overall, Steve Angeli was pretty solid in this one. We've talked about some of the positive plays already on the show. That 4th and 10 play to Johntay Cook was very huge in the first half, getting Syracuse on the board in that one. And I also thought Steve Angeli did a nice job of getting rid of the ball quickly. According to Pro Football Focus, Steve Angeli, on average, got rid of the ball within 2.5 seconds. That's what I like to call helping the offensive line help you. I didn't notice very often Steve Angeli holding on to the football too much. And you know what? The stats actually back it up. So continue doing that. Steve Angeli should have a very fine year for Syracuse football. And keep in mind, just long-term in the back of your mind, he's got another year of eligibility. So it's not just about 2025 when we're evaluating Steve Angeli. It's also for 2026 because he does have that other year of eligibility left. Unlike Kyle McCord, when we all pretty much knew it was a one-and-done type deal. We were hoping he would get that 5th year of eligibility. We'll never know if he would have gotten it or not. But Steve Angeli definitely has another year. That's for sure. So just keep that in the back of your mind about Angeli. I was impressed with his performance against Tennessee. Offensive line. I talked about how yesterday it was a little bit up and down for Syracuse. But as Fran Brown noted in his postgame, a lot of the downs were not necessarily Syracuse got beat. Did it happen at times? Yeah. I mean, that's going to happen to any offensive line against this Tennessee front. It is. And it's going to be tough against Clemson. It's going to be tough against Notre Dame. It's going to be tough against a team like Miami as well for this offensive line. But Fran Brown mentioned how a lot of sacks by Tennessee were schemed up. There were a lot of times during this game, we talked about the example in the first quarter with Arian Carter, where there were free rushers on Steve Angeli. Free rusher does not come down to your ability as someone who can pass protect or not, or someone who can run block or not. It comes down to communication. And this offensive line heading into this game had never played a single game altogether. They never did. And so I'm willing to give them a pass on some of those mistakes because it's only one game. And we kind of figured that something like that would happen. That at times there would be free rushers because this team is brand new, especially on that offensive line, and they need more time to gel in front of Steve Angeli. But as far as how they actually handled the Tennessee defensive line when they actually were, blocking them, or at least attempting to block them, they did a really good job. Demetrius Witherspoon and Trevion Mack, the tackles, graded out really positively on Pro Football Focus. And nobody along the offensive line was below average. Everyone was average to above average on the offensive line, according to Pro Football Focus. So Steve Angeli was pretty good. The offensive line, aside from a few instances where there was a free rusher involved, was pretty good. And then we can get into the special teams. No mistakes on special teams. Special teams was a big problem in 2024. It was not an issue against Tennessee. The one thing, though, that we did not get to see, and I guess it's kind of a good thing because Syracuse, to their credit, when they got into scoring opportunities, they scored touchdowns unless it was the very end of the game when the game was already over. But for the most part, they got into the red zone. They were 4 for 5, 4 touchdowns, and 1 turnover on downs at the end of the game. So they did not have a single field goal attempt. Now, it's inevitable that will happen. And it's also inevitable that they will try a field goal from a pretty far distance, at least 45 yards or more. We did see on the depth chart that Iowa transfer Trip Woody did win the job over Jaden O. But we did not get to see Trip Woody actually attempt a field goal. That's something that I'll definitely have my eye on for Saturday against UConn. But you know what? If Syracuse's offense wants to continue scoring touchdowns, that's fine with me too. I am not going to sit here and complain about the lack of field goal attempts. Okay? Just want to put that on the record so that when Syracuse plays UConn on Saturday, we're not talking about how Trip Woody attempted 5 field goals because this team couldn't score in the red zone. All right? Punter Jack Stonehouse, he's excellent. Like he's just phenomenal as a punter. He's going to be in the National Football League. And even Steve Angeli had a really well-executed pooch punt in this one. I believe it was in the first half. So overall, big picture takeaways here. It's mostly positive. There's a lot of weapons on offense. Yes, there's a couple of players we'd like to see more of, but they have a lot of depth. They can still function on offense even when Daryl Gill is not on his game or Jamie Tremble maybe has not yet taken that step forward in development just yet. They're not perfect, but they're still a very, very good offense. The offensive line was fine. Steve Angeli was fine. The special teams, no problems with it whatsoever against Tennessee. That was big. It's just the defense. The defense has got to be better.